Almost all cultures have a creation myth, a story that informs how the universe came into being. And the fictional worlds of Dungeons & Dragons are no different. Today, we'll explore the creation myth of the Multiverse in relation to the Greyhawk campaign setting. The Age Before Ages. Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and on this channel I talk about Dungeons & Dragons lore, mythology, and history. Some comments on the last Greyhawk video. I guess many of you pronounce the planet as Oerth and not Oerth, but as of 2024 D&D, Oerth is an appropriate pronunciation, which was chosen for comedic effect in the previous video. Now, each setting in D&D has a different take on the creation of the multiverse. In 4e, it was the gods versus the primordials who fought for dominance over the prime-material plane. In 5e, there was the first world introduced in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, in which there was one large material plane that was fragmented into a multiverse of material planes. In 2nd edition Spelljammer, you could traverse from one campaign setting to another via Spelljammer space travel, taking you from the Forgotten Realms to Greyhawk. When I talk about creation myths for a setting, know that it varies greatly and it changes as other settings come along and influence them. This is the case for Greyhawk. Now, NPCs in Greyhawk might believe a particular creation myth as fact, or they might see it as a primitive interpretation for the unexplainable reality. In the World of Greyhawk, the history of the multiverse is detailed in the Age Before Ages. The first planes to come into existence were the inner planes, or the elemental planes. The entities that existed were warring between these planes for the control of primordial forces, primordial chaos. These creatures had to decide, allow chaos to thrive or bring law and order to the multiverse. And demonic creatures called Dradens that predate the inner planes, they hated law and they fought against it. The idea of elemental material dirtying up their perfect void needed to be stopped. The eternal conflict of law versus chaos started, with the lawful side being celestial, angelic, elemental beings, and the chaotic side being demons and other dark creatures from the far realm. Now, this war continued and often culminated in the Battle of Pesh, where the forces of chaos that were led by Miska the Wolf Spider attacked the Wind Dukes of Akka, who resided in the inner planes. Miska was defeated, and the chaos retreated back to the dark, but it was always there, always plotting. Now, in the wake of these inner plane conflicts, the Blood War started in the outer planes, pitting demons and devils against one another for who would control the newly created outer planes. Gods arrived in this time period and took sections of the outer planes for their own domains. And while all of that was going on, the material plane, which was Oerth, was still just a desolate place of boiling oceans and unbreathable air. See, the material plane was newly separated from the inner planes, and it was still cooling off. Now, aboleths pushed through the barrier from their twisted reality and set up empires in this boiling ocean. And with it, they brought oozes, elementals, and monsters with them. Centuries later, as the land became more inhabitable, mortals first appeared, and they brought something that no other creature had ever seen: faith. Faith in their gods and faith in themselves. This faith empowered the gods and in some instances created new ones. The gods who did originally attempt to fight in the Blood War and also in the war between law and chaos, they did not do very well. Many retreated back to their domains. However, with this new empowerment of faith and worshippers on the material plane, they were able to drive many of the aboleth empires away from ancient Oerth. Now, divine protection only instilled more faith from the mortals and empowered the gods further. The aboleth empires were never fully eradicated, and many clutches still reside at the bottom of the ocean. However, it was a new dawn for the material plane. Humanoids could thrive, and just as the gods took domains of the outer planes, mortals took domains of Oerth, of the material plane, and they made it their own. It's not very specific, but this was all kind of collectively added to Greyhawk and pieced together by TSR and Wizards of the Coast to unify and give Greyhawk a creation myth. Pieces from Planescape and even Spelljammer were sprinkled into Greyhawk's Age Before Ages. So stay tuned as I continue next time with elves and other humanoids that are now popping up on Oerth, which is where we start getting into the written accounts of the in-world history of World of Greyhawk. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and thank you patrons for keeping the lights on here. Check out patreon.com/Jordan with a PH in the middle if you want to become a patron, and I will see you all in the next video.